Hey, status D, please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon, click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And don't forget to click on notifications just so that you don't miss any amazing content. Literally just jacket on, shoes on, ready to go out the door to meet some of my friends who are already in the club. Waiting for me to arrive, but they got there from like hours ago. Anyway, just spotted this about celebrity chef Heston Blumenthal, one of these, celebrity chefs, ridiculously successful. I didn't know anything was wrong. I thought he was just ticking along, but apparently he's been sectioned. Now, I've got a degree, a very good degree in psychology, and so this just brought it home how, number one, I'm glad he's on the mend. You'll see when I play the video that he's on the mend, so that's to keep in the front of mind. But the one thing I wanted to say, and I don't want to take away from his story at all. Again, it's just money does not exclude anybody from mental health problems. As I say, I've got a qualification, and the one thing I did want to say, you got to look after you. You got to look after your health, and so this is not a message to Heston. This is a message to myself, really, and kind of echoing to the YouTube people as well. Is you know yourself better than anybody else. You know when you've got to take a break and look after number one, the star player. Otherwise, there's times when you can. And again, I'm not relating this to Heston. I'm more to myself. I'll explain in a little while. You know when you need to take a break. You know when that candle is burning down. And then really you're going to have a choice about whether you kind of take the break now, a short break now, or you're going to have to take a crazy long break in the future. And you know yourself. You know yourself. Case in point, I wasn't sleeping very well for months, and it was kind of wearing me down. And now for a separate reason, I needed to take a week off, a week annual leave, just so I can organise a few bits, right, important bits. That week, and I didn't have anything specific planned, not in the daytime anyway, in the nights I was going to be out with my boys, right, with my friends, my mates. That week I slept for England. I'm talking one of the days I didn't get up until 5 o'clock I was catnapping a little bit, but I didn't really get up till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And the day before that, I don't think I got up till about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I needed that sleep. And honestly, on the other end of it, I just felt like my whole body, and especially my brain, it felt like a muscle that was like really tight, and finally it just kind of went back to normal. And normal was almost like a bad word. Normal was kind of like the best relief, like the best head massage in the world, and all I did was just get the rest that I needed. And I say, if I didn't have that appointment, then I wouldn't have been thinking to look after myself. That's my message to you, basically. If you're ticking it over, that's fine. That's fine. I'm back to ticking over now. You know what I mean? I've built up my reserves again. But if you feel that you need to take that break and you know yourself, take it. It doesn't mean you got to go off to, I don't know, some long weekend. You can do if you want to. You know what I mean? But if you need that break, take the break. Focus on self. We keep saying about mental health. Mental health doesn't necessarily mean you've got a condition. It just means that you're giving yourself the rest that you need, physically and mentally. So I just hope that everybody can do that. Let's hear the story of Heston. And I say, I'm looking at his face, and I don't know what his day-to-day is. I'm just trying to click on it so I can. It's not working. I hope the video works. My gosh. Was a very kind of svelte, kind of physically svelte person. The last time I remember him, and I don't keep track on Heston, you know what I mean? I was aware of his success. I wasn't aware of his illness, his mental illness. He will make reference to that as soon as the news article plays. But yeah, I'm just wondering if that's the effects of medication, or if it's the effects of, being relatively static. After being sectioned in a mental health ward. It's just, wow. It's just, and again, if this can happen to anybody, technically, and you don't necessarily see it coming, I guess. And let's see what he's got to say.
Living for 50 years with bipolar and having no idea, it took the hospitalisation and the diagnosis for me to realise. So, but how would I have known? And how would I have, if I met somebody that said they were bipolar, I wouldn't have known how to talk to them.
You talked about being hospitalised In the run-up to the time, Melanie, when you decided to press the red button, as you have described it, and get your husband some serious help, what was that period like?
Heston was alone at home, and the moment for me is a danger to himself.
And I went through a period where I was hallucinating, but I was hallucinating touch as well. I looked this up, and you can, when it gets quite extreme, you can hallucinate sounds, touch. And I saw a gun on the table, but there wasn't a gun there. But everything in that build-up to me being sectioned, everything just got more extreme.
And I wonder, Melanie, if it had been left any later, could that have been too late?
First meeting with the doctor said, look, all of his vitals were out of the roof. 3-4 days later, he would pass away. That was the first thing that she told me.
Everything was breaking down, but it didn't feel that way.
You were cool, you.
And yeah, it would have been that way till it was too late. Yeah, she saved my life.
How hard is it for both of you to see the person that you love most in the world suffering?
Oh, she's set me off again now. Really hard. And at the beginning, because I hadn't been this extreme for all my past life, it just, for whatever reason, was getting stronger and stronger. And there are moments when I'm looking at Melanie's face, and clearly it's sad, it's shocked, it's stressed, her face, and I couldn't understand it. Now I can. So I think this whole thing was so important on bipolar side. The surveys we did, they're as important, if not more important, for the people that love the person with bipolar. So she's living with bipolar by proxy.
Yes.
All of my manic highs and my big lows, definitely, they've not surfaced since the diagnosis. So, but it still flips. It's just a much calmer one at the moment. But yeah, it was very painful.
How would you describe the experience of being sectioned?
I came to in this room that was basically pretty close to a cell, room with a metal toilet in it. I don't know where I was. I don't know if this was whatever they injected me with, the sedative, or it was an extension of my extreme bipolarness. Because if it was that close and things were shutting down, I remember her asking me. The doctor came in and asked me, "What day is it today?" I had no idea. My diagnosis was such a surprise, but it was a kind of relief.
Really?
Yeah.
But can I ask you, before you were diagnosed, how many hours would you work a week?
For the first 10 years, I worked out 120 hours a week.
A week?
Yeah, for 10 years. I was sleeping like 20 hours in a whole week.
Right. So that leads me to ask. So when you look back, is that to do with the bipolar? Is it also to do with the restaurant industry and what it kind of expects from you?
I thought about this because one thing was, because there's a big crossover with ADHD and bipolar as well.
Although they are very different.
Although they're very different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite common to have both ADHD and bipolar. So I wondered if I thought about this lack of sleep when I said I sleep really well now. Was it because I had no choice? In fact, it was exactly that, because the restaurant was young, and I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, going into the kitchen, and then leaving at midnight. It didn't really expose itself, my bipolarity, really, when I was in the kitchen.
Well, that's so interesting, because obviously many people watching you now will have watched The Bear. Obviously it's a drama, obviously it's fiction, but it shows us the pressurised atmosphere in a kitchen, and to watch it, it's stressful. To watch it, it's stressful. It's unbearable. So I wonder if the restaurant business was a good place for you, a man with bipolar and ADHD.
If I can, we haven't watched The Bear.
Have you not?
Because I think it's the biggest trigger for Heston condition.
Really?
We've tried.
So have you tried to watch it?
Not yet. I
No,
don't feel ready
maybe
yet.
a clip or something, but I
don't
just
feel
don't
ready
want
yet.
that.
It can be a trigger.
There'll be lots of connections between me, the Fat Duck, and that show, particularly because there's a couple of the big chefs that I know, they're friends of mine, have been involved in the consulting of it.
Right.
So it must be pretty accurate, which means that I don't know if I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to watch it. It's just at the moment it's too soon.
You are obviously renowned for your incredible kitchen creations, feats of imagination. You are a tour de force in that respect, and all that hard work that you've just described as well. Do you think your creative energy masked the bipolar at all?
Possibly.
What are the most common misconceptions about it that you want to tell people about?
There is lots of stigma around danger and violence. It's not all about that. And I think the biggest stigma is part of the general idea that we have about a psychiatric hospital. Life is not Fight Club. Life is not Black Swan.
It's not all doom and gloom, and I know we've spoken about the more negative sides, but it is part of who I am. I mean, it's there. I've got it. I've had it. I'm learning. I'm still learning as I'm going, but express myself so that maybe it can help other people.
Wow, so brave of Heston to put his message out there, so a lot of people who might say can reflect on self and get help if needed. And please, that's the closing message I would like to give to everybody too. Look after yourself, look after your loved ones. There for the grace. Okay, please like, subscribe to Steve when I'm out.